How's it going, you guys, and welcome back to the channel. So Bill and Ted Face the Music is going to be coming out in a few more weeks, and I'm really excited to watch that film. However, since we gotta wait for that film, I figured that I would make 2 more reviews before that on the previous Bill and Ted movies. So today we're going to be starting off with the first film in that series, with Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventures. Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventures, directed by Stephen Herrick, stars Keanu Reeves and Alex Winter. The story follows 2 friends, Bill Preston and Ted Logan, who are given the task to give a big history report in front of their class. They're encountered by a time traveler by the name of Rufus, who gives them their own time-traveling phone booth, and that's when they hatch the idea to take various historical figures from their own time periods in order to stage one of the most excellent history reports in the history of history reports. Oh god, I said history way too much there. I've been spending a lot of time watching films with a dark edge to them, like Lynn Ramsey's films, but I've also been sitting through quite a few crappy films like Gods of Egypt and Force of Nature. So, naturally, I had to let loose and watch a film that I could just relax and have fun with. And let's just say that Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventure is definitely one of those films that allowed me to cleanse all the dark and bad juju out of me. It's definitely one of those films where you can find yourself having fun for every second of the runtime, and with the added elements of time travel and the performances of Keanu Reeves and Alex Winter, there's never really a dull moment in this film that took me out of it all. The whole concept of time travel in movies is always very exciting to me, and it always has potential to make a movie great, and I'm always excited to see how it plays out with our lead characters. In the beginning, we get to see Bill and Ted being placed in the French Revolution, where they accidentally bring Napoleon to the present. Of course, they end up leaving Napoleon in the present because that's when they hatch the idea to steal more historical figures from different time periods. Time periods such as ancient Greece, the Old West, the 100 Years' War, and so much more. And being the young rocker teens that they are, Bill and Ted meeting the various historical figures made for some very fun and comedic moments. And especially when they ended up stealing the figures, it got a lot more funny then. There's moments such as Ted calling Socrates Socrates. There's a moment where they meet Joan of Arc and they act like they're angels sent from heaven. And there's so much more on display that had me enjoying every single second of it.
All we are is dust in the wind, dude.
I also really enjoyed how the figures were brought into the present and were experiencing all the future inventions and activities that they had never experienced before. It made for some very fun moments with each character. Something that I wish the movie did, though, was allowing Bill and Ted to spend more time in the various time periods. For the beginning part of their journey, they end up spending lots of time in certain time periods, and seeing them interact with characters of the past, it really made for some very comedic moments. However, when they reached 15th century England, they spent a lot more time there than they did any other location, and they never ended up stealing anybody from that time period. There's even a moment in the movie where they travel into the far future just to meet the people of the utopian future to do some air guitaring, and then they just leave. The movie's only 90 minutes long, but I don't think it would have hurt to extend the runtime a little bit more and have Bill and Ted spend more time in the various time periods, because it really did make for some comedic moments in the beginning of their journey. They can even reduce the time that's spent in 15th century England and take out the future scene entirely and extend the runtime for various time periods. But I don't know, that's just me. Do you guys think that Bill and Ted should have spent more time in various time periods? I'd like to know in the comments. Of course, I can't talk about this movie without talking about how well Keanu Reeves and Alex Winter work together on screen. The two have some amazing chemistry with each other, and you can tell from their interactions that they have a very close friendship with each other and will do anything for the other. Their friendship is so close that they want to start a band with each other, and hell, they even become the biggest inspiration of the future. And what's even better about this? They do air guitars throughout the entire movie.
Excellent!
They're both very fun-loving teenagers that will allow you to have fun every time they're on screen, as well as make you laugh out loud every time. I also enjoyed how over-the-top their performances were throughout this movie, and especially with those stoner-like accents. Oh my god, dude! Whoa! Oh, dude, that was so rad! I love it. Of course, their humor can be a little dated at times, but honestly, what would you expect from watching a film from the late 80s? However, despite the fact that I enjoyed their chemistry throughout this movie, I also gotta say that their acting can get a little bit bad at times, especially with Keanu Reeves.
Yes, Bill, but I do not believe we will get Eddie Van Halen until we have a triumphant video.
Of course, I was just saying how I enjoyed their over-the-top performances, but when I mean over-the-top, I mean over-the-top. At the same time, it does manage to hurt their performances a little bit. Just a little bit. Of course, it's not that big of a deal since Keanu Reeves was still an unknown at the time, and he was also a fairly new and upcoming actor. So despite it hurting his performance a couple of times, I still had a fun time watching it, so props to you, Keanu.
Who was Joan of Arc?
Noah's wife?
Of course, as much fun as I had while watching, I gotta say that there are a few problems with this film that I had, especially with one in particular. Of course, I already mentioned that the performances can be a little bad at times, some of the humor is pretty dated, and the film misses out on some comedic opportunities, but most of the effects have not aged well at all. And yeah, I know, I'm criticizing a film in 1989, and CGI was just coming up and was the biggest thing ever, but if this movie's gonna fill its runtime with most of these effects, I would hope that they would be a little bit better. But yeah, the effects are bad, but that's not the biggest problem that I have with this movie. I probably shouldn't even be commenting about this with Bill and Ted, but something that confused me is how it completely ditches the whole concept of the present changing by changing the past. I mean, Bill and Ted are just jumping around from random time periods, stealing big historical names, so you would think that the present would be changed a whole lot by that. And at first I thought they were going to take the figures and write something about them and deliver them back, but they end up staying in the present with everyone acting like absolutely nothing has changed. I think something like changing the past could have made for some very comedic moments, but, you know, I can't blame Bill and Ted too much because they do give one of the best history reports I've ever seen. So you know what, movie? You got lucky by making Bill and Ted give one of the most excellent history reports I've ever seen, and it'll be remembered for centuries.
Thank you, Santimus High!
So overall, despite some of the issues that I had with Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventure, I still gotta say that it is one of the best comedies I've ever seen. I like to think back on films such as Ferris Bueller's Day Off, where the teens are just going on, living their lives and having a fun time while bringing the audience along for the ride. Adding some of these dated elements into the mix does still make for some extra fun that people can still enjoy. Of course, some of those dated elements can really stand out at times in this movie. The acting can be so bad that it's good, and the whole disregard for time travel rules did bother me a little at first. But in the end, I would be lying if I said I didn't have a good time in the process. I would definitely recommend it for those looking for a fun time-traveling adventure with humor that'll practically make you laughing throughout the entirety of it. It has just the right amount of goofiness, good nature, and fun that'll make it a memorable experience for you. So with all that in mind, I'm gonna go ahead and give Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventure 8 out of 10 phone booths.
Who was Joan of Arc?
Noah's wife?
So I'd like to know, what do you guys think of Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventure? Do you love it? Do you hate it? Not care to watch it? I'd love to know in the comments below. And if you made it this far in the video, I'd appreciate it if you leave a like on this video and subscribe to the channel for more future movie content. Thank you guys for joining me in this review. And next week, we're going to be talking about Bill and Ted's Bogus Journey. So look forward to that. And I also have a few more movie reviews planned for this week, so stay tuned for those. So until the next video, you guys, I'll see you later.